So I was just chilling, getting ready to start the day with nothing. Just got out of the shower too. That's why my hair looks like this. And all of a sudden, I hop up on Twitter, and I see Apple has just released the new iPad Pro, and that's pretty cool. Now I know I said I was going on a break, but considering there's really not much to do, and I am definitely taking some time, I figured why not talk about it. So this is a live episode of Technoid, and also I was on Twitter and I pulled up Marcus's page, MKBHD, and Marcus, I'm a little disappointed. No review in 10 minutes? You know, you always get everything before everybody, but I guess not. But I'm just kidding. So we're gonna take a look at the Apple webpage. I'll pull it up here. And if you guys are just joining me, or if you're wondering what's going on, Apple just released the new iPad Pro. I'm gonna pull it up here on the stream so we can all take a look at the brand new iPad Pro. I will break it down and I will discuss if it's any good. So here it is. Your next computer is not a computer. Now, I have looked at the breakdowns. I've looked at everything beforehand, so I'm just going to run through this. Let's take a look at the order page. So essentially, it's really nothing different. Same sizes, same 11-inch, 12.9-inch. But the first difference you're going to notice is when you buy this thing, you'll notice the starting configuration is now 128 gigabytes. So Apple kind of listened and updated the storage for the same price, which I actually approve of. That's a very good thing, Apple, that you did. But it sucks for me because I have the 64 gigabyte, but I don't really care. Now let's actually go to the real page. Let's take a look at the refresh. So essentially what this new iPad Pro is, and also this is a brand new Magic Keyboard, which I will discuss. Basically, this is aiming to be your next computer replacement. They're going all in with this computer replacement. It will be available on the 25th. The Magic Keyboard will be available in May, and I will discuss that in a second. So now they're moving to the Liquid Retina display. So even though technically the iPad Pro already had the Liquid Retina display, they are doing a little bit different. They're saying it's the most advanced display, as always. As you can see here is the breakdown. You have True Tone, 600 nits, 120 hertz, which is all pretty good stuff. So nothing really major there. Now comes the biggie, which we've been discussing, the camera. So this iPad Pro is using a 2-camera lens setup with a time-of-flight sensor. This is actually our indication of what the iPhone 12 is going to look like with its camera bump, so you have kind of an idea of what design they are going for. They are using a ultra-wide and wide-angle camera. So as you can see, we have your wide angle, ultra wide, and the time of flight sensor. So again, these are an idea of what the iPhone 12 is going to look like. They're calling it the LiDAR scanner, but it's basically just a time of flight. I don't know what Apple's trying to do with these naming schemes. And if we take a deeper dive in, it uses AR, calling it the most advanced AR in a tablet. And I don't really use AR, so yeah. Now let's take a look at the performance. So the performance, we have the A12Z. Okay, timeout. What is it with the naming of these chips? You literally have the H1, W1, W2, A12X, A12Z. Where happened to Y? Like, what's going on here, Apple? Like, why not just call it the A13X? But the A12X Bionic chip is, again, going to replace the A12X in the iPad Pro, which I have right here. I have the older model. This is an 8-core processor, so not only will it be much, much faster, but the GPU will also be doubled as well. It's supposed to support 4K video editing, 3D augmented reality, high advancements in also performance in daily work tasks, and also very, very good with multitasking. Andy asks, is the 13 better than the 12Z? Very good question. To be really honest with you, I am going to say it depends. I'm going to say it's in the middle because I don't know the bench scores, but if I had to take a guess, I would say they're about the same because the iPad Pro CPUs are a little bit more higher clocked. They're more for a tablet, so that means they're much bigger and more powerful. But I will hold on to that, and when the bench scores come in, I will definitely notify you and follow up. But that's a very good question, and I appreciate your comment. Now let's take a look at this new Magic Keyboard. So the new Magic Keyboard basically is a all-new design. It floats. Yes, they're really going with that whole, oh, it floats. But if you look at the keyboard, basically it's a redesign of what we have now. The only difference this time around is it has a USB-C on the side, which is nice. It does connect magnetically, but the big change, trackpad. The iPad Pro is going with the trackpad. Now, I will tell you this, and I am going to say right now, this is basically a MacBook accessory. It has the official trackpad, has the keyboards on it, the keys and everything. It's backlit. The only difference that I want you guys to know is that there is no difference. It is compatible with the older iPad Pros. So if you decide to cough up the amount of cash, and I will discuss pricing, yes, I agree. I agree. The keyboard is insane. It does look very nice, but I do have just one complaint, but that's for later. One thing that I do like is that they're adapting the trackpad, and this is making it more closer to being a laptop replacement, the iPad Pro. And lastly, customizing on the iPad Pro is now much easier, they're saying, because they're going to have trackpad support for the iPad Pro. So now you finally have trackpad support. So for everybody that was saying that this thing was not compatible or you couldn't use it as an accessibility feature, you can now use the trackpad. So overall, we're just going to scroll down just a little bit more. Then I'm going to give the breakdown of the prices for everything. Apple Pencil Gen 2 works just the same. Nothing different there. Hashtag iCorona. You are absolutely right on that. And last thing, let's take a look at the port. Let's take a look at everything in a roundup. So it is using Wi-Fi 6. It has the USB-C port. It upgrades the speakers from what I am being told. This is a better image of what the trackpad and the keyboard looks like with the Apple Pencil. And also they talk about AR capabilities. So now let's take a look at the actual pricing for the iPad. So if you go to buy this, and if you want to pre-order, because it will be available on the 25th, you can get the 11-inch or the 12.9-inch. Starting price at 128 gigabytes for the 11-inch is $799, and the 12.9-inch display starts at $999 at 128. Both will be available, as I said, on the 25th of March. And if you were to do a trade-in, I'm just really curious right now. I want to see how much they give you for an iPad. Now, you know what? I'll say that for later. But that is the iPad Pro, the brand new iPad Pro. And just for giggles, let's take a look at that new Magic Keyboard. So let's take a look at that, because I actually want to show you guys something. So overall, the new iPad Pro is pretty much not really a major big step up as to everybody is saying how this is revolutionary. The only really major difference is the camera, the trackpad support, which will probably just come with a software update, and really the Magic Keyboard. Those are the big changes. As for the internals, the CPU, nothing really major there. It's really just the A12, except they just clocked it with 8 cores now instead of a 6-core. So if you're really that big on powerhousing, you might want to consider getting the upgrade. But let me take a look at this keyboard, and I want to tell you guys, this is my only complaint. While I definitely do like the keyboard, and I definitely think it's cool, and yes, it does support the older iPads, but it'll just have the camera cut out, there is one problem. The goddamn price. Now, you know this was coming, but let me explain why I have a problem with the pricing. Now, for $299, there are some arguments here to be made that you are getting a bigger, better iPad, but when I'm looking at it, it's still using the same fabric. It's using a trackpad, yeah, but you have a USB-C port, which is nice, but there really isn't much here in value. Although you can argue it's not using Bluetooth, and it does give you a, magical display. I'm having a hard time really trying to justify $300 for this accessory. The Smart Portfolio keyboard on its own, the original that I have here, does the job well. Less travel, feels fine to type on. I don't really necessarily see a big difference, but it does say that it's using a scissor mechanism, and that it also does have some aluminum implementations. So maybe there is some value to be given here, but for $300 for this keyboard, I'm really not too sold, but I do think it is intriguing by all means. It definitely is a nice accessory for the new iPad Pro. And of course, if you have older iPad Pros, you can use this with it. It is compatible. But for $300, that's a hard cough up. And that's the new iPad Pro. So overall, not really a big upgrade. To anybody watching the live stream, why don't you comment your thoughts? What do you think of the new iPad Pro? And I'll take a look at your comments. But I still don't really feel it's a major upgrade. For me, I don't regret getting this iPad Pro. I actually don't. I have it for almost a year now, and it still works just as fine. The A12X is fast enough. It's smooth. And honestly, I don't really see the big need to really warrant an upgrade. But there are some people that have been holding out, and now I think is the perfect time to get that iPad Pro. I know a couple people that said they didn't want to buy the last year's one, but even then, you could get the last year's one and it'll still do just as good a job. The only difference really would just be the CPU and the cameras. For me, I don't think those are warrant enough to upgrade because I feel that it is fast enough on its own. The only way I will ever upgrade iPads is when Apple stops the software support. Once software support stops, then I'll consider getting a new iPad. But until then, why do you need 8 cores on an iPad? The reason why I think they're going with an 8-core is because they're trying to push this as a laptop replacement. So they're trying to distinguish themselves. And I don't really see the big benefits for an 8-core on an iPad, but there are some heavy power users. He writes, I currently have the 2018 iPad Pro since launch, and I don't see the need to upgrade. I never take photos. I 100% agree with that. I am with you on that. I don't take photos anyway. For me, I don't use the cameras. The only thing I use it for is FaceTime, and that's it. So I agree. I don't think there is a warrant to upgrade. And considering that even though there is a lot of value given here, you got to take into account not everybody's going to be a pro user. Now, it does claim it has studio microphones as well and a couple of other accessory things that I forgot to mention, which I'm going to pull up here just to clarify. It does have studio quality microphones, ultra wide cameras, the new Magic Keyboard. How much faster is the A12Z compared to the A12X, and why don't they just call it the A13X? Very good question. The reason why they called it the Z is because this really isn't a substantial upgrade. If Apple was going to call it the A13X, I'm assuming it would be because they would have redesigned the iPad or just made the iPad a different variant, because the A13X would be for a brand new cycle. This is a refresh. If it was a brand new model that was just coming out at like a conference, I probably would assume they're calling it the A13X. But in comparison to the 12X and the ZX, this is an 8-core where the A12X is a 6-core. So it is a little bit faster, but I don't think you're going to notice it too heavily. I thought we'd see an iPad Pro Mini as well. I don't know exactly if the market is ready for a Mini Pro, but it is an interesting thought. So let me just do a quick roundabout. Then I'm going to end this live stream. If you have anything you want to add in the live stream, I see a lot of people are joining. So if you want to get a quick roundup, I'm going to summarize, and then I will look at the comment section if we have any new comments, and you guys can comment down below. Basically, Apple refreshed the new iPad Pro. They basically announced it just now. I am reacting to it. You can watch this video on replay. The starting configuration for 120 gigabytes, which I do agree with the starting gigabytes, it is $799. We take a look at the specs breakdown. The only major difference this time around is that the screen has been given a slightly bigger refresh. We have a brand new camera system on the back. As you can see, the camera is now 2. You have a wide, ultra wide, and a time of flight sensor. They're calling it the LiDAR camera, but it's a time of flight sensor. I really don't know what they're going with. They also have augmented reality upgrades, but to anybody that uses augmented reality, that doesn't make any sense. The true depth camera is pretty cool. The A12Z Bionic, as discussed earlier, is faster than most PC laptops, claiming Apple. It is using an 8-core versus the 6-core inside of the iPad Pro currently, the current iPad Pro. Multitasking support is also getting an upgrade in software with iPad OS, but the main selling point is the trackpad. Yes, there have been trackpad support, but now it is officially confirmed by Apple. We are getting a brand new Magic Keyboard with a trackpad. Now, as I said before, it is compatible with the older iPad Pros, but it'll just have that camera cut out. And here's the brand new keyboard, as you can see. In terms of design, it is keeping that same fabric design. It is not going to change anything. However, it is adding the aluminum scissor key mechanism that you find on the MacBook Pro, and it uses 1mm travel, so you're going to have a nice typing experience. This is the trackpad as well. So basically, these pieces are aluminum, but these are not, but the rest is fabric. Also, just speeding up because I want to get to your questions. I see people writing. And also, full trackpad support is coming with iPad OS. So look out for an update on trackpad support. And then we talk about the keyboard, which I will show you one last time. And then I'm going to round about my final thoughts. Taking a look at the keyboard, it is backlit. You can use a trackpad. It has aluminum chassis here and there. But the price for the brand new trackpad is $300. That begins shipping in May. The iPad Pro will begin shipping on the 25th of March. So overall, let's round up my final thoughts. So overall, I think the iPad Pro is a great upgrade if you don't have an iPad Pro. If you have a current iPad Pro, you're not going to really notice a big difference because it's already doing an impressive job. I already have it. I can tell you, you're not going to really need a big difference. It has pro microphones. It has better sounding audio, but realistically and honestly, you're not going to really notice a huge difference. And I don't think you would really need to go out and upgrade. But if you're a person that doesn't have an iPad Pro and have been waiting for this upgrade, now is the time. And as for that trackpad for $300, I'm finding a hard time trying to justify the pricing. So those are my final thoughts. I will do more of it in an episode next week. But now let me take a look at the questions. Is the pre-order on or in stores? It will be done online. They will be shipped out because all the stores are canceled. So there is no actual physical pre-orders. I think I'll just stick to the additional mouse separately. I agree. You can connect the separate mouse. Pre-orders, again, stores are shut down. Interesting. Do you know when orders start to ship? You could start ordering today, and they will go shipping out on the 25th of March. So as I've said before, if you are interested in picking this up, you can pick it up now, and it will be delivered March 25th. If I could use the keyboard on my lap, I'd consider it, but you need a flat surface. I agree, but with the other portfolio, which is why I like the magnets, because when I put it at the angle, I can still use it on my lap. So I think the older one is more of a lap one. This one looks a little more floaty, like you said, on a surface. And that's a new iPad Pro. So guys, thank you guys for joining me on this live stream. I hope you guys found out something new about the iPad Pro. Comment your thoughts down below. Let me know, are you excited for the new iPad Pro? Thank you to everybody that tuned in on the live stream. If you guys missed this live stream or you're just joining now, you can watch on replay. I break down everything about the new iPad Pro. Thank you for joining. Does the new iPad Pro use the U1 chip like the iPhone 11? Very good question. And to answer that question, yes, it does. It does. Just joined. I got the 2018 Pro in November. I was waiting, hoping it would have an October event, but I guess the iPad's as soon as possible to choose, so I don't know what to do. Honestly, just keep your iPad. The 2018 Pro is just as fine. You've had it since November, so a 2-year upgrade. You could try to make an argument, but I would say hold on to it. Really, the only really way you would upgrade this tablet is if you really don't have software support. That's my opinion. But I would say hold on to it. Unless you really need that boost in power, then go for it. Thank you guys once again for the great comments. Thank you. I appreciate you joining me. That is it for the live stream, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week. My new video will be out in less than an hour, so hope you guys watch it. Thank you all for tuning in, and peace out, everybody.